myself. I am Christina Owens. I am the Town of Windsor's Government Operations Manager. I am appointed as the Emergency Services Coordinator as well. So should the town have an emergency or an event, I take my hat off as Government Operations Manager, and now I'm the Emergency Services Coordinator, working closely with fire, police, as well as the county to address the event that we have. Super happy that all of you guys are here today. Currently, in 2026 for the state of California, we've already had over 2,000 wildfires, which is the most that we've experienced so far. This season is supposed to be pretty extensive. We are going to have an El Nino weather pattern, which then just brings up a little bit more of the concern of what this year will look like in our fire season. As of June 1, we start the fire season, so we're already in it. I have to step out of the room because there is an operational area phone call in regards to the event that will be occurring tomorrow, which is a public safety power shutoff. Windsor is not affected, but what is going to be occurring is northeast of us in the hills, there will be, PG&E will be automatically shutting people off. In May, we had only 6 people. This time, we're having 600 people. So as you can see, it starts to grow, and this is all based upon weather conditions. The heat's gonna rise tomorrow. Humidity is going to rise, and that just becomes of a concern. So I'm happy you're all here. We have great presentations. We have Charles Hall from Sonoma County Fire Department here who will be doing the presentation. And then Diana Borges with Windsor COPE. For most of you, you've all seen us because we've been doing the road show for about 3 years now. So happy to turn it over to Charles.
Thank you, Christina. Yeah, no, she didn't toot her horn enough. She is really great to work with, and she's quite amazing. So you guys are lucky to have someone like her in Windsor. So
Speak up.
Yes, to piggyback on what she said, yes, El Nino is coming later this summer. It's gonna be windy, right? It brings a lot of winds, and wind, that is the biggest driver of fire once the fire's going, right? A wildfire. And B, it dries out the fuel that we have gotten a lot of rain this year, which has been great, but wind, just like if you blow on something, you cool it off, you're drying it out, and that affects fire starting and spreading quickly. And then the humidity effect, I think she said as temperature rises, humidity rises, they're actually conversed. As temperature rises, humidity decreases, and humidity, also relative humidity, is probably even a bigger driver of fire starting than anything else, because we in the fire service, once the humidity's down in the teens, if it's below 20, you can even feel it's like dry air, right? That is our biggest concern for fire, because they'll start and they'll just go off to the races because it's just there's no moisture in the air, right? So, but yeah, we have gotten a lot of rain this year up here, which is good for us, and I mean it's good and bad where the fuel is moist right now, but lo and behold, it's going to dry out pretty soon here. And then what does water do? Like plants and vegetation, they like water and they grow. So it just creates more fuel for us to have to deal with if it doesn't burn this year, next year, or the year after. So it's kind of a never-ending process here. But okay, I want to talk a little today. A lot of you probably have seen similar presentations, but we're going to go over defensible space. What you could do at your home, to prepare yourself a little bit better, or to protect your home a little bit better than it is currently. Someone on the way had a vent screen. Yeah, she showed me that, and we'll go over those two, the sizing of your mesh that you want. But no, it's great. So let's get to it. Let's see if I can work this thing. There we go. Okay. So wildland-urban interface. A lot of you probably heard of that. It's just basically where you build homes up next to the wild. The best example of this is like right near Foothill, or the whole Foothill HOA, right? It's up against the county regional park right there. It's basically developed. This is like your line of like park, wildland, and then here's your urban, right? So this is like the most kind of like not shocking image, but it's just like, you know, it's like almost like Central Park in New York City. It's like very vastly different, right? So essentially, Louis is kind of what we refer to it as, not to say wildland urban interface. It's the area, you know, where homes are near the wildland. Embers, right? So, I mean, it's hard on these because this is what starts a lot of structures. In a wildfire event, this is your emission source right here is the embers. So they could travel quite a distance. 90% of homes, and studies have shown 90% of homes catch fire this way, whether it be just landing on the roof or in gutters and starting there, landing adjacent to the house, maybe on a garbage can, which is just a can of oil, is all it is. Once those get going, I mean, I have mine on the side of my house, but I know that in a fire event, I'm going to move them in my garage, because on my property, it's not big enough to move really 30 feet away. I live in Santa Rosa, so I'm big enough to really move 30 feet away, so better than outside. Inside, it's a little bit better if you're leaving for a wildfire. You can travel very far. And they're also referred to as fire brands, but they're embers. It's just burning material, not floating through the air, but being driven by wind through the air. It's quite fascinating to watch. Okay, so these are the ways that the home is going to succumb to fire. Number one way, like I just talked about, is going to be the one in the middle, the embers, right? Number two is fire burning right up to your house. It's the least common, it's not the least common way, that's why we create defensible space, right? So we're lessening this one showing not that good. It's just like tree line right up to the house. Fire, those trees are all burned. It's just showing how the fire is going to go right through the trees all the way up to the house. That is, I mean, that's a way your house could burn down. And also radiant heat. So radiant heat is like if you have a shed near your house. That shed's on fire. The heat produced from the shed, or shed is a good example, that in turn could break your window. That could catch your house on fire just from the radiant heat alone. But if there's a window nearby, your window's going to break before your house catches fire, and then you got drapery right there. So it's a good example of just something near your house, or like a garbage can being on fire near your house could catch your house on fire if it's on fire. So I kind of talked about this. We're going to go over two things: defensible space, what you could do with the vegetation around your house to prepare, and then what you could do to your house to prepare. So kind of went over it. It's basically a buffer. We got to look at all vegetation, and it's all fuel. It's pretty, there's flowers on some of it, smells good some of it. It's fuel. In my mind, all it is fuel. It looks good too, some of it, but all it is a way for fire to get to your house. And so there's different like rules or in each zone. There's a 0 to 5, the 5 to 30, and then the 30 to 100. There's different, kind of go over what is wanted in each of those zones. But all in all, if you create this, it's going to give your house a better chance of surviving a fire. It's not guaranteed. People have great defensible space in many fires, but it's not a guaranteed thing, but it'll help. And not only will that, if us as firefighters, when we go to a neighborhood to defend it, we'll pick a house with good defensible space, maybe a good driveway, a pool or something like that, and we'll kind of like anchor down there and kind of fight fire in the neighborhood from there. But if your house is all overgrown and stuff, then we're probably not going to pick that one to set up shop at. And if we're setting up shop at your house, it's good. It's good for you. So yeah, just think of it as a buffer. Think about trees will burn, and you want to create the buffer around your house. Okay, so there's column zones 0, 1, and 2. Sometimes you'll see in 1, 2, and 3, but either way, 0, it includes the house itself. It's really as most like I talked about the garbage cans. Like I have mine up against my house right now, and really don't think about it. But in a fire event, that is not a good place for that to be, because it's made out of oil. It's plastic. It's made out of oil. Those things, if you see those things catch fire, those shoot flames like 3 times the height of the can. It's pretty wild, and they burn pretty quick. So yeah, the home being number one. This is like a valley of a roof. We'll go over roofs too, but these pine needles, they just build up in areas. The wind will blow them, and then they'll be caught in this little valley where winds really don't hit them anymore. And they'll stay there until you get up there and blow them off. But this is just perfect like receptive fuel bed for that ember. This is like the worst. I mean, this is like the pine needles all dry like that, dead and dried out. That if an ember landed into that roof would be on fire without doubt, quickly. So this photo is a good example of a lot of people use bark mulch. I do too at my house, but right up against my house, the first 5 feet, I've transitioned to stone, to rock. It's a good idea. I mean, it kind of will, if you do have wood mulch from here on, I mean, fire's not going to burn the rock, so that's kind of like, you know, giving yourself that buffer for the ground fire, the direct flame fire that would come to your house. But it's also good for where embers land. I mean, embers land next to the house just as much as they do on the house. Chimney or stovepipe, a lot of houses typically are pretty good with that, but you don't want any sort of limbs within 10 feet of your chimney or stovepipe, especially dead ones. Wood piles, not too big of a problem in Windsor, but wood piles, you don't want them to be on your house. You want to relocate those to like 30 feet or more from your house. I couldn't even do that in Santa Rosa, so I guess that would be in my garage too. But I don't actually even use my fireplace. I don't use my chimney because I have a heater, and my house is built in the 60s, and I haven't inspected my chimney, and we get a lot of chimney fires. Because I don't know, it has to be all intact in there. I'd rather just use my heater than light wood in my fireplace. But if you like to do that, that's fine. I would encourage getting your chimney or stovepipe inspected here now and again just to verify, because we had a pretty good fire up on Calistoga Road, and it was due to over the winter here, and it was due to the fact that the flue inside the chimney, it failed, right? There was some water leaking in, and then it corroded, and it put some holes in it, and then the heat was just escaping, and eventually the whole house burned out of the back. So, not trying to scare anyone, but get your chimney inspected occasionally if you can. Okay, so this kind of also goes with home hardening, but this is a house that was built and it was lit on, the whole property was lit on fire with fans and stuff. It's through the insurance, IIBHS, Insurance Institute of Business and Home Safety. There's actually a full video that you can watch these houses burning down. They'll like create one like side by side, do good defensible space, rock mulch, then they'll do poor defensible space with Italian cypress and wood mulch, and the fans, they'll start a fire and all fans, and you can see how quickly one side compared to the other burns. It's pretty fascinating. Check that out. But this is just showing how, hey, wood mulch, wood fence, it's burning. Hey, guess what? It can't burn anymore because that stuff doesn't burn from that type of fire, right? It's metal and rock. So it's just kind of showing that that right there could be the difference in a big event from your house surviving. I mean, the metal fences are also a lot more expensive than wood fences, so if you can, the gate itself, the fence around your property, that would probably be wood, but if you could upgrade to that gate, let's pretend like that little section was a gate. I mean, the fire stopped before it touched the house, so that's a pretty good one. Okay, back to my garbage cans. Kind of my thing, might as well burn your house down. So back out to zone 1, now we're like 5 to 30 feet away. And this is where you're gonna have more vegetation here than right up next to your house, but this is where you want to pay attention and keep everything nicely irrigated, watered, and remove dead trees. This one right here should be removed for like 2 reasons. One, or I guess there's 2. They look dead to me. I'm not an arborist, but they do look dead from here. And then also, it would give you better spacing. A lot of people like to line their driveways on bigger properties with trees and whatnot, but I mean, if you're trying to leave, you're at the house when there's a fire, you're trying to leave, that's going to be a lot of flames to drive past down your driveway. So, I'm not telling everyone to rip them all out, but even if that was healthy, I'd say, hey, maybe every third, get rid of it, because it's just creating a wall of fuel, right on your egress path, which isn't good. And that's also how we get into your house, right? So if we see a wall of flames, it's probably not gonna be one that we're gonna nestle down on and protect. I mean, we'd like to, but we got a 2 game numbers. Also, zone just keeping the leaf litter. Anytime leaf litter is fine on the ground, you shouldn't clean up every leaf at every time. But if you live underneath like a tree that drops a lot or in your house, 3 inches. Once you feel about 3 inches of duff, that's about the time. I mean, sooner the better, but if it gets up to 3 inches, that's when it's time to pull out the rake, get that off the ground, because all that is, dead leaves are fuel. Everything's fuel. Keeping them trimmed nicely, keeping them, just spacing is big. You need more spacing on steeper of a slope, just due to the slope itself, but try to keep your trees and shrubs. Like, this is a really good example. I don't think this is in California, but this is a really good example of how like a yard could look. Or I mean, I don't know anyone that big a front yard or maybe in Lakewood, but that was ideal. Everything's green, lean, spaced. I mean, also looks like it's brand like freshly landscaped. But anyways, like that's what we should strive for if we can. Along that green too. But yeah, separation's important. So, and then now we're in the further part away. So it's either 30 feet to your property line or 30 feet, if you have a larger property, 30 to 100 feet. It's kind of gray area where people like take their defensible space on other people's properties, but it says 100 feet, but it's to the 100 feet that you own. Property line or 100 feet. Don't go on your neighbor's property and start cutting their stuff because it's within 100 feet of your house. You could ask them. If your neighbor has anything that you don't like, that you think is a hazard, you could call us. Or before you do that, you could talk, if you have a good relationship with them, you could talk to them and be like, hey, this is something I learned, maybe that's not the best place for that, or could we reduce that? And a lot of times people are, oh, I didn't even know that too, let's get rid of it. Conversation's a good starter, but if you can't do that, you can get a hold of us, we can try to intervene, get done what needs to be done. Okay, so now it's done, okay, it's done too. Grasses, anyone's property should be, the grasses, those are nice and green, so that really wouldn't burn right then, but in like a week from then, if no rain came, that would be gold, that how we see the hill now, golden brown, and it would go up like that. So grass, 4 inches is the maximum height that you want to have grasses like that. And then spacing is huge. If you do have a wood pile, you want to kind of protect that too, like create some defensible space around your wood pile. I don't think they don't have a propane tank, like a above ground tank. That's more out in West County. If you did, you'd also want to protect that with defensible space. So how do you, fuel reduction, right? So my property is not big enough to require a wood chipper, but the county does have a program that if you do have a lot of tree branches and some brush that you can sign up and they'll bring their chipper. They can put it on your property, but arrange it in a certain way, and they'll come and they'll chip it for free. So some people will be getting quotes from tree companies, and knowing that they have that in place, they'll tell the tree company, just cut it. I'll take it from here, and then for free, the county will come and they'll chip your stuff up for you. You'll leave it on your property, but then you can spread it. You can put a free sign on it, and your neighbor will come grab it. It's fine to spread on the ground in okay quantities. You don't want too many wood chips. Because what are wood chips? Thank you. When it comes to wood chips, if you are going to go combustible, if you're going to go wood, think about this. The bigger the piece, the better for fire. The gorilla hair stuff, it's kind of like very fibrous. That stuff goes up like very quick. So just if you are going to purchase combustible wood mulch, the bigger pieces the better. They're harder to catch fire. The smaller pieces are easier to catch fire. So just keep that in mind if you're not going to go raw. This is just an example of larger scale property, just kind of what thinning would do. It's before that I don't even know if it's the same stand on trees, but I can't really see through there, but now I can. It's kind of like a park that kind of looks unmaintained. Again, this is for like larger properties, but wood piles, and not right now, there's burn bans going into effect, so can't do that until October at this point, but it is the most cost-effective way to remove your fuel on your large property because, and it's good for the soil. I mean, it turns into the ashes like carbon, and it's good for the earth. So that, I would never get a burn permit at my house, but they're out there if your little property's big enough. addresses. So this again is more for like a Forestville, like a river type. We have a very large district. We have Bodega Bay, a lot of the Russian River, Windsor. We're down in Cotati and Pengrove, so we have a large district. So this is kind of tailored to everyone. But address signs, have you guys seen the reflective green ones with the white? No. So if you're offset from the street, if your house is down a ways, oh yeah, you could have it on your mailbox, but that's so hard to see, so we always like at the end of your driveway, so hey, because when you call 911, you want us to get there pretty quick, right? So if we can see if we could see it, that if it's down like a driveway, sometimes it's not very clear which driveway to turn down, so if you got it clearly marked, that helps us get to you. Okay, so home part now, so this is a kind of a video, snip of that video I was talking about where there's fans, you can see the embers going, there's fans blowing embers in the rock, and that's wood shake siding. As you can tell, there's different construction material, different landscaping, and it's a pretty cool video. But yeah, the other one barely catches fire, the other one's smoked. Okay, so this is stuff you can do to your house. This is probably the most expensive one. If you're replacing your roof, it's definitely the most expensive one, I'd say, depending on how big your house is. But that's an example of the worst type of roof you could have. Wood shake, they don't even really make those. I mean, you could get one, but I don't see why you'd want one in California. You want to be able to be insured. But if you have a wood shake roof, I would look into replacing it sooner than later. I assume most people don't have these. But why is the roof like the roof? Has the biggest surface area. Think about the embers traveling through the air. If you look at a house, like the odds are, if it's on your property, if it's in the land on your house, it's going to be your roof. It could go up into your eave vents, which is even worse, which we'll talk about the mesh there, keeping them out of your vents, whether it be your foundation or your eave or your attic. But yeah, so metal roofs are the best. They're also the most expensive, but with asphalt comp shingles are fine too. They're better than this. Gutter guards allow water to run through into your gutters with keeping a lot of the debris out, not all the debris. So occasionally, especially if you live under like a redwood tree with needles, the pine needles will get in there. They're really good for leaves like this. But they still, every once in a while, may need a little maintenance, pop them off if it gets clogged up. But you want water to run through, but you don't want it to get clogged up with leaves, because what are leaves? Fuel. Yes. Okay. Hey, do you have your? So this is the brand she has right here. So this is specifically for wildfire defense. I mean, this is the same thing. Bingo. Hers is black though. So what you want with these, you want it to be metal, shit like this is, like that. This is different types. This is a little nicer black, but you want it's an 1/8 of an inch. So all my house, I upgraded mine, but typically back until 2008, 1/4 inch mesh was the requirement. So it's double the size of those. It's still pretty small, but ember wise. So this is literally cutting your strings down in half from what they probably have right now, unless you've upgraded them. So those, all they are is letting air out, which needs ventilation in your attic and under your house. But it's when that ember comes traveling by wind through the air, it's supposed to stop it and not let it intrude on your house or burn your house down from the inside. 1/8 inch. 1/8 inch is what you want to go for. If they have 16th inch, that's fine too, more expensive. Don't go smaller than 16th, you want airflow as well. And then also when it comes to stacking them on top of each other, I wouldn't recommend that because you might that not be good for airflow. So if you're going to replace it, take one off and put it back on. You could maybe get away with putting 2 1/4 incher if you don't want to buy it. If for some reason you have 1/4 inch mesh, you could figure that out, but just go ahead and do what she's done and get some new ones. Yeah, you got to account for ventilation. So these are eaves. Most eaves are open. They're enclosing eaves now on a lot of new builds, but you could enclose your eaves at your house. It would kind of protect your house a little better, but it's really cost efficient. It's really, I don't see anyone doing this to their house to retrofit it from fire. You're just as good at putting some, upgrading your vent screens, in my opinion. Siding, another very expensive one. If you want to replace your siding to like some hardy board type material, fire resistant material, you could do that, but nothing's guaranteed. It would also be very costly, but it's better than the wood shake. Windows, well, everything's expensive. Windows too, they're all very expensive. You want them to be tempered glass. They withstand that one of the first images, the little cartoony things I showed was that shed, catching a house on fire. The windows break way easier if they're not tempered. Tempered, it has gas, there's like gas in between the panes. So they're much more durable. And then also the vinyl, if they have vinyl casings, they'll melt and the windows will fall right out. So try to, if you can have metal's the way to go, tempered. Doors. For garage doors, you can put some flashings and stuff so that embers can't come underneath. Or on the side of a lot of like person doors that go out of your garage, there's a lot of gaps. Sometimes if you can put a little like air stop on that, it just won't create embers, stop them from getting in your garage. Weather stripping would help. Decks, if you have a deck, great. Don't have anything growing under it, or don't store any combustibles under it. Because what is a kayak? Fuel. Thank you. Fuel, plastic fuel. So don't store anything. You can store stones and such, but that eventually that's going to dry out. And then let's say there's a fire down here. All the grass now is gold and yellow. Fire comes up. If it stopped right here and it's all dirt right here, fire comes and burns dirt. So preferably you have a little bit more of a gap buffer than right here. So stop it down here, and then that fire is going to put itself out, and your deck won't be on fire. But if you don't reduce the fuel, and that all dries out, and then that could be the difference in your deck. And then what's your deck usually attached to?
House.
Where your house is? Fuel. Well, it is, but sadly, that's why I look at everything that will burn, it's fuel. Fences, we kind of talked about that earlier. Metal, if you could at least do your gate, start with your gate that touches your house, and then work outward, but you're not really seeing this done much in residential. It's very costly, and then a lot of times the fences are split, and it's like, hey, I want to get a $10,000 fence, but I would want to get a $2,000 fence. So it's if you want to buy it yourself and get it okay from the neighbor, go ahead. But once again, it's not going to be cheap. But if you could do your gate, do your gate. Here's some examples. This is in Windsor, but this is showing. There's a lot of trees around this house. Right around that house, there was great. I think that one was even under construction at the time, getting remodeled. But that one didn't burn. Everything else around it got smoked. They also did some retardant drops on the trees to help out the air attack did. Another couple examples, right? They had really good defensible space around that house. This one was a little too close to these trees, so there was a structure right here. That tree ended up getting that one, but over there's really no trees around that house. I'm not telling you to cut all the trees near your house, but it's just showing you that fuel, anything burning near your house has a higher chance of catching on fire. Cut another couple, like estates, good examples. These ones too were like really green. They kept their grass watered. Those are both properties that I could see us like taking some engines to, feeling comfortable at, and defending it and kind of setting up shop there. They both have big driveways, big kind of field, or that one more so. And that one. Metal roof, you see that metal roof? I think that helped that house a lot too. That red roof is metal. Looked like they had really nice windows. But in the town of Windsor here, if all the homeowners do what the little they can do around their house, it kind of makes the whole neighborhood, the whole community a little more fire safe. There's no guarantees to anything, but you can do what you can to prepare yourself. Those are my sources, and you're all going to get my PowerPoint, so. That is my, are we going to do questions now, or are we going to do questions after both?
You can do questions now, if you like.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, okay, does anyone have, and if you think of any between Wanda and Diana speaking, you can ask me then too, but if anyone's any now.
They just did a major renovation on my apartment complex, it was built in 1970. But some of the things I just noticed in the presentation was that they didn't cover up the eaves underneath.
Well, they don't have to.
There's no law.
No, that's not, that's just something you could do to protect yourself more, there's not a requirement. Now, the 1/8" mesh is a requirement on remodels. That old building, if you did like a 51% remodel that would trigger that, then you would have to do, you'd have to get fire sprinklers also. But if older, I mean, there's really nothing right now to say you have to upgrade your vents. It's just kind of recommending it right now. It's gonna be that way before long, in like 5 years, California is gonna make everyone do it.
Yeah, because on these different sections, they have the 3 vents up.
Yeah, the little circular one.
Yes, and then but as far as underneath the overhang.
Like the soffit.
It's not enclosed.
Yeah, no, well, I mean, that's just a feature, like, it's costly, it's just, they don't have to, that's not a feature that they have, the mesh, so the circular ones too, they'll sell you, I don't know if you've seen it, where you got that one, they sell, do they have the circular vents, the little 3 together? They'll sell little plugs for those with the 1/8" mesh, you can plop right in, or the harder way is you could either go on the outside or you go on the inside of your attic and put it in there, but the little plugs work really well.
What search term would you use to find that?
Attic vent, circular plugs.
Thank you.
The young lady in the back.
So my question was, like, if you're in, say, like foothills,
Sure.
right? Like walking foothills,
Yeah.
and there's a fire that breaks out in
Yeah.
one of the houses nearby, like, what would be like an appropriate thing to do in that scenario?
I would call 911 off the bat, just make sure that they know there's a fire.
Right.
And then they'd probably like, yeah, we've already got it reported. Great, get out of the park. Because in my opinion,
That's fuel.
yes, exactly. I don't know which way the wind's blowing at that point. Now, if you're up in the park, I would try to exit the park away from where the fire is, so I wouldn't walk towards the fire.
Right.
You see it over that, just if you have a trail that way, I'd get out of the park, because let's say it's a windy day, and that fire escapes the house, then into the park, and if it's really windy, you shouldn't be in the park when it's on fire. So yeah, if you notice it, call 911, make sure that they have it, hey, I see a house fire, okay, great, or maybe you would be the first to report it, great. And then exit the park away from the fire, if you can. Now, if you're trapped, stay on the phone, but I am trapped in this park, I need help.
Okay.
If you don't feel like you have a way out, we'll come get you.
I
Yeah,
live at Bell Manor,
okay.
and that is just opposite Town Green.
Yes,
And as you go in to get to Bell Manor, it's at the very end, and they're going to be building some apartment houses at the far end.
mhm,
But just opposite, before you enter the Bell Manor apartments, there's 2 developments connected. They're all cottage apartments.
mhm,
All their fences are wood.
yes.
Wood gate,
Mhm.
wood all the way around, connected to the apartment next door.
Same in my neighborhood, yes,
All wood.
yes.
But as you enter Bell Manor, the
Mhm.
first entrance, on the other side is a fence, a cyclone fence, and it's all vegetation on the other side.
Mhm,
Perfect fire
yes.
hazard. That would jump right over to all those wooden fences, wouldn't it?
I mean,
Any embers,
they could, I mean, they're just,
and there's no way to get out. There's only one exit from the whole unit. There's only one exit out, and you'd have to come out right
okay, I know,
around
I see what
that.
you're saying, like, so on an egress path.
Yes.
Yeah, no, okay, so that's something that's good to point out, like, so, yeah, on an egress path, if there is vegetation, if it's within 10 feet of the road, which I believe
It
it is,
is.
then it shouldn't be there.
Is that something we call, I should ask the fire,
Boom, you
one
just
of
did
the
it.
local fire people to come out and look at?
You just did it. Yes, sir.
For the trees that you do have, thinning them out make a lot of difference.
I mean, yeah, absolutely, like, you mean just one tree is removing some branches on it to thin that one tree or thinning out a stand of trees.
Oh, I was just talking about like one.
Yeah, no, it helps, it just reduces, it's one of those branches.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, just
No, it absolutely helps.
Just,
It absolutely helps. I did it to one of my trees that Santa Rosa planted in between the sidewalk and the street that I'm now responsible for.
yeah.
And I did it to one of mine because I was tired of the leaf cleanup, to be honest with you. So I thinned that one like 70%, and all my neighbors came up to me and was like, what tree guy did you get to do that? I was like, oh, no, it's me. And then I told him I was not for hire. And I'm like, "I'm gonna do it." And no, it reduces fuel, and it's just less of a, you play golf?
A little bit.
Yeah, so I hit into the trees, as you may do too. Sometimes your ball won't hit anything, sometimes it will. The ember, it's just less for the ember to catch into. Thank you. Yes,
Regarding the fences.
Yes.
Can you attach metal panels to your fence?
yes, absolutely. For privacy and whatnot, absolutely. There's some really sleek looking ones I've seen actually. They'll do it on the inside of their fence. Yes, you absolutely can do that.
Is artificial grass fuel?
Absolutely, it is fuel. There hasn't really been that much of a problem. It's essentially like carpet to a degree. I mean, the rubber pellets in there, that's a little word, those get ripping good, but honestly, it acts more like a fire break than anything else. Yeah.
Is there a service that will come out and inspect your house and tell you, or do, like,
Yes.
do things for you?
Yes, absolutely. Our fire department will do that for you. So we have a website, and you can go on our website and sign up for one, or you can call us and we can schedule one with you. Call them like home consultations, they're no charge. We'll meet you whenever it works for you. Meet in your front yard. Don't have to go in your house or anything like that. We'll go in your backyard with you. We'll have a nice talk and give you pointers on what you can and should do to be more fire safe. But absolutely, we'll do that for free.
And is there a company that will come and,
They'll charge you for it, but,
yeah,
you mean, come and like remove your, like cut your trees?
well,
Do
I'm
all
like thinking of caulking and,
Oh, you mean like to harden your home for you, to like replace your vents and stuff? I mean, that's like any handyman will do that pretty much. I don't know any fire home hardeners that are in the game, but possibly. But that's like any construction person can do that, really. You could probably do it.
Yeah, I'm a contractor. I'm just saying, like, yeah, it's all pretty, that's really easy for
Yeah.
most contractors and
Go and take her in the back.
pretty straightforward.
Okay.
Cards.
I like the questions. Keep on coming up. Keep on coming up. Your card is fuel too. Keep on coming up with your questions for me if any arise. Diana's gonna take her portion, the smoke portion, and then I'll be happy to answer any questions. I'm gonna stay around at the end. One more if anyone has one right now. Okay, that's it.
Hi, everyone. So I'm Diana Borges from Windsor COPE, and COPE stands for Communities Organized Prepare for Emergencies. We're part of COPE Northern Sonoma County, which is a non-profit organization. Before I get into the wildfire smoke portion, we're going to go over a little of additional wildfire readiness. So, critical things, not just for wildfire, but for any emergencies. You need to be signed up for alerts. If you don't have the correct information, you're not going to know what to do. So everyone should be signed up for SoCo Alert. That's where our county sends out information. Our town also uses these, so that's that thing. Oh, wait, I do. I need my props. So, over here are handouts. This pamphlet is from the town of Windsor. You go inside and it has instructions of how to sign up for these alerts using QR codes and the website. So, SoCo Alert, you need to sign up for that. Nixle is where you're going to get information from our sheriff's department. Those that are in Santa Rosa, you use a different system. They are signing up for Civic Ready. If you go to the City of Santa Rosa website, you can find out information on how to sign up for that. So those two, no matter what the emergency is, you need to be signed up for minimum SOCO alert and NIXL. The other thing for wildfires is watch duty, and hopefully everyone by now knows about watch duty. They're the best new thing that's come to our area, and it started right here in Sonoma County, and they just announced that they are now adding flooding in addition to wildfire. So if you go on, I'll talk about watch duty in a little while, but watch duty is for vegetation fires. It notifies you and it keeps giving you updates on what's happening, so you are informed of everything. Also, CAL FIRE has this website that you can go to. So on the phones, you need to make sure that they are not on airplane mode or do not disturb, because the messages will not come through. Okay? And unfortunately, you have to sleep with these phones. I used to sleep with my phone in my kitchen until 2017, when I had no clue what was going on until I woke up. We didn't have alerts anyway then, but after that, I sleep with the phone in my bedroom so I can get alerts.
Just to add to this as well, is under SOCO alert, if you are a town of Windsor resident and you have a utility account or water bill, I push your utility billing information up to the county. It's not sold, we don't use it, but I just have it, it's a redundancy. So if your information is in the system by you registering, but we also push the utility billing information, if you have a different phone number, they're gonna connect all of it together. So just make sure you have it up to date with the town of Windsor, as well as put the phone numbers in as a contact in your cell phone. So as it calls you, you know who it is, because we just went through elections. I don't know how many people got spam, I know how much I did. So just have it as a contact.
So evacuation notices. You need to know what your evacuation zone is. And even though you know it by heart now, when you get an alert, the brain doesn't work the same way. So you need to have it written down. We have these cards back there with the handouts. Make sure you go back there and pick up everything that's appropriate for you. So these cards, you can write down your home, work, any additional zones. Put it on your refrigerator. You can put it on your go bag. And this is the evacuation, the zone map for Windsor. So we have A, B, C, D as our primary zones, but then we have subzones. So it would be like A-02, and it's WI for the full one, which stands for Windsor. Windsor, WI, dash A-02 type of a thing. To find out your zone, if you don't know, you can go to socoemergency.org, which is our county information, and you can find lots of information there. But go to that website, and there's a way to go to the evacuation zone and look up your address, your zone by address. Okay. In addition to having it written down, I highly recommend that you put it in your phone as a contact, because we always have our phones with us, and they're handy right there.
And Diana, one thing to add on to that, that's just like she said, you type in your address, it also will give you a PDF map of your zone, and it will show your neighboring zones too. So let's say you're in WI 02.1 or whatever, and then your neighboring zone's up for a warning. I want to know if the neighboring zone's up for a warning too, because then I'm probably next. So printing out a map, something similar to what she has right there in your house, is also good too, because it kind of gives you a visual of what they're talking, rather than these numbers. Oh, that's the foothills. Oh, that's Lakewood's under evacuation. And you kind of see where it is in comparison to you.
And we do have this map back there as a handout. You can pick that up also. In addition to back there is this evac pack from the county. If you haven't already got these, we've been passing these out for 3 years now. Pick this up. This will help you plan. In addition to what I'm talking about, you need to know what you're going to do, what your family's going to do, where you're going to meet. This has excellent checklists and a step-by-step process.
May I add something there? When you did that program, one of the supervisors gave us backpacks.
Yes.
So we had backpacks when you're preparing for evacuation, it's good to have a backpack in your car for, like, if you're driving down to Santa Rosa or something, is you have something, so you still have some food and some water and the emergency supplies, Band-Aids, etc. for being away from home, as well as having one right in your living room or by the front door to go if you have to evacuate quickly for earthquake or fire or any of the emergencies. And that wasn't mentioned there so far.
No, well, I'll just cover go bags right now.
Okay.
So,
Sorry about that.
everyone, we've been hearing about go bags. Hopefully everyone has go bags. We've been giving away go bags. The Expo gave away go bags. You need to have a go bag for every family member, and that includes your pets, handy and up to date. Don't, if it's been 2 years since you looked at it, you need to take a look at it. You know, maybe you don't fit in those clothes anymore. I had to change mine out. So you have the go bag handy ready, but you also have a vehicle bag. And the reason for that is maybe you're somewhere else, you're in Santa Rosa, and we are told to evacuate. They're not going to let you come back in here to get your things. So you have supplies in your vehicle that you are ready to go. You also need to have a shelter-in-place kit. In an earthquake, if it's a very strong earthquake, we are not going to evacuate. We're going to be told shelter in place. It's highly possible that our roads are blocked, there's down power lines, there's down trees. First responders aren't going to get to us anytime soon. So you're going to have to work with your neighbors to survive for 3 days, 7 days, whatever it's going to take, depending on the strength of the earthquake. For Windsor, Town of Sonoma, and the county, we are asked to put these tags out on either our mailbox, our door, somewhere that is very obvious when we evacuate. That allows the sheriff and other people that are helping them to know we are evacuating, because when we evacuate, they go door to door. They are checking every door and they are marking it off. So by helping them, that gives them more time to do something more important than just knocking on our doors.
Just put on your mailbox.
Mailbox, your door, something that's where they can see from the road.
Yes, Diana's right, you see that? Okay, they're accounted for, they're gone, and then that way, that, you're helping us, you're helping your neighbors too that maybe haven't been able to get out because we're seeing on the mailboxes is easiest, right? But don't ever, if you already leave, a tag, I forgot, like, if you're in the street, don't go back for your tag, like, get out and get gone. But she's right, it helps us and the other neighbors.
So we have those tags back there. One thing you can do is just put it on your go bag on the outside of it. It's handy there, so when you're grabbing and running out the door, it's right there. So alerts for wildfires. There's an evacuation warning, which means be ready. Situation could change at any time and you have to get out. So evacuation warning, it doesn't mean you kind of just sit there and wait. That means your go bag is ready. Maybe you have your car already in the driveway, depending on the situation. When we get the evacuation order, that's when we're gone. It's not when we prepare. We prepare ahead of time. And then a red flag warning basically is telling us the weather conditions are so that a fire could start at any time. We have a red flag warning right now in the eastern Sonoma County higher elevations. So we aren't, but they are, because they are expecting the weather conditions to be just right for red flag warning. And at that point, when there's red flag warning in our area, you need to be aware of your surroundings and your actions. Most fires are started by human activity, but not on purpose. It's just activities that we do and we're being careless.
So with that, the red flag warning, so I just got off the OA call. It is Lake Sonoma, up in that area in the hills. It is going to be Sonoma Mountain, which is east of Petaluma and then hitting into the Napa area. They increased the number of customers affected by the PSPS by 30. So now it's 630 accounts. So as the event continues to be monitored, it could be that we're adding more people, but the town of Windsor, the jurisdictions of 101 are not affected at this time.
One other thing I want to point out on the evacuation warning is leave early if you need more time. Maybe you need longer time for mobility issues, but maybe you have pets that you need to get. Your pets are not going to be the happy little furry things when you're running around and you're trying to get them in the cage. It's going to take a lot longer. And the other reason too, evacuate early, it relieves stress. Also, don't get stuck in this. This was Kincaid in 2019 at 1 o'clock. We still had 3 hours to evacuate, and the highway was gridlocked. At the end of, we had until 4 o'clock. At the end, it took a friend of mine an hour and a half to get from Foothills just to the highway. And then the highway was blocked. So if you leave in an evacuation warning, say, go visit a friend, you take your stress level down a lot as opposed to sitting and waiting and wondering what's going on. So I want to show you kind of to piggyback on what Charles said. So this is my house. The bottom is what it looked like many years ago, and that's when I was concerned about drought conditions. So there was lawn over in this area. I had taken it out, and I took the lawn out. And then 2017 hit, and I had put in, on that picture over there, I had 15 yards of shredded bark brought in. And at that point, when Tubbs hit, I thought, okay, that's just a fluke, right? It's a one-time, a lot of us did, right? It was a one-time thing. I was proven wrong. So I then brought 7 yards of gravel in. So I do have the gravel. So what I want to point out is preparing for emergency can be overwhelming. We're telling you to do this for earthquakes, do all this for wildfires, do this for floods. You decide what are your highest risks on all of them, and you chip away at those things. I've done stuff for wildfires, then I stop. I do things for the earthquake. I do trying to figure out what is my highest risk and what am I going to live with. I have to live with whatever decisions I make and do. So this is different phases. So in the middle one, I still had a big shrub back there and other vegetation. So recently, if you notice, other than the pots that have terracotta ceramic, everything's 5 feet away. My tree is still an issue that I have to keep trimming back, but just do what you can.
That looks great. You just did a really good job.
Thank you.
I'm not picture it.
So, most of us live in subdivisions. Subdivision fires are different than out on the Geyser.
This is in Windsor, this photo.
Yeah, this is the Kincaid fire up at Foothills. So if you notice in the picture, see the Italian cypress up there? They call them Roman candles. Let's take a subdivision. Say there's a fire out of Foothills. Embers can start a subdivision from there. The embers have been documented to fly ahead of the flames because of the winds up to 5 miles. Okay, so the embers start a house in a subdivision by getting into a vent or the vegetation, something like that. But a lot of that then is transferred house to house, structure to structure. And it's also by radiant heat, direct fuel contact, so fences, like Charles was talking about, the fences, it'll catch the fence on and it'll just travel throughout. Also, an example, my neighbors are a 2-story, I'm a single-story. Their 2-story chimney is right next to my fence on my house. So that would be raining down on my house. once they are started, once the subdivision starts, the most critical thing that I have been told by a fire chief was, are there going to be enough firefighters to put it out? When it's a house fire, there always is, but when it's a wildfire, it's kind of a different story. Are we going to have a tub situation, or are we going to have a Kincaid situation where we're able to station firefighters like every other house type of thing? So what can we do? We can do things like we can move our trash cans, or we can put fire resistant siding next to our fire can, the garbage cans. But most of us aren't going to do that. We do what we can, okay? One of the best things you can do, to be honest, make sure you have good insurance. Check your insurance. Is your insurance coverage adequate? We often don't do that periodically. You know, maybe it's been 5 years since you've checked that. Check it, and then when we're told, get out early. Getting out early gives these guys the time to do what they need to do. So by doing our part, we help them. And with that, let's get into smoke. So wildfire smoke is highly toxic, and it's a very complex mixture. We, in the public, we have been told that it's particulates. Yes, it is particulates, but there's a lot more in it. There's gases, there's heavy metals, there's lots of things. So think of a fire, it's whatever burns. So if we have a fire out in the geysers, it's vegetation that's going to be burned. If we have a fire here, it's everything in our house and in our yard. It's a completely different mixture than what a vegetation fire is. So anything that gets burned and airborne can be attached to things. And depending on how close you are to the source versus downwind, when things start changing, falling out, a lot. Okay, you guys got a picture of the process of the burn. So it travels. The Paradise Fire, which is Chico, traveled 3,000 miles. We had hazardous levels of air quality here from Paradise. If everyone remember the sky darkened.
We even had it one time in Oregon, not that long ago.
So this is from some articles. The LA fires, January 25, kind of changed a lot of things. From that, there was actually some permanent monitoring stations downwind that were able to take samples. A lot of these stations around here, the purple air, those other EPA stations, they are not sampling this range of compounds, constituents. They're sampling this, okay? So this was a permanent situation where they were able to collect all this data. So from all their sampling, they found that lead in the air was 110 times the background concentrations. Chlorine was 40 times higher. So if you see, this is right here is the lead graph. And you can see where it was before and then the peaks. And then obviously it decreases as the slug, the plume goes away. So lead is believed to be from paint. So prior to 1978, lead was allowed in paint. And as you know, we just paint over and over. So anything that houses that are 78 or older have lead paint underneath. The other main lead source was batteries, so there's lead in car batteries. And then Caltech afterwards went out and they tested homes that they hadn't burned, but they were in the burn area. They took wipes of walls and had those tested. Lead concentrations were higher than acceptable levels, just from the smoke coming into the homes.
and to let you know that there is no lead, acceptable lead level for kids. Nothing. I want to point out this ascent, I'm not going to pronounce the name. They are about 4 years old. I expect that there's going to be a lot of information coming out from them. They have 12 permanent stations nationwide, 3 are in Southern California, and they're doing a lot of studies and a lot of sampling. So who's at risk the most? It's, you know, people that we expect, right? These are some health effects. I'm not going to go through all of them. There's the immediate ones are, you know, your eyes, your breathing, all that type of thing. The long-term ones, they're still studying the long-term ones and coming up with more information. The Ascent and UC Davis are doing a lot of studies, other people are too, and they're coming up with information. One reason is, you know, for some illnesses, cancer and things like that, it takes 10 years for things to actually evolve to the point where medical can diagnose. So this is the AQI, air quality levels. Hopefully you're all familiar with, you know, there's green, everything's good, yellow, moderate, things like that. This is from EPA. So these levels never change. What changes, though, is the concentrations that break the categories. So like going from good to moderate used to be 12 micrograms per cubic meter. Now this is 9 because they have realized that they need to lower the level for being safe. And this is for particulates 2.5 microns and lower. And that's what we are looking for in wildfire smoke. It's the smaller particulates that can cause the problem. If you notice on the charts, and almost everywhere else, they never tell you when to wear a mask. Have you found when to put a mask on? They just give you this general category, well, healthy people should be okay, right? But at 151, at least businesses are required to give outdoor workers masks. So, I would at least at 151. This is what I used to say, at least, because this is based on particulates, this chart. It doesn't include lead, it doesn't include chlorine, it doesn't include anything else that's in the smoke. This is strictly particulates. And it's particulates based on a 24-hour period, not any repeat exposures like we are when there's a heavy wildfire nearby. So, completely different exposure scenarios. But when I was updating my slides, I found, I'm sorry, if I'm your way, just ask me to move. I found this from CDC. Yeah, it kind of changes things, huh? So, on the website, that's directly from the website. And over here, it says, staying inside is the best, which we've known. Masks don't protect you from all the constituents. And staying inside with an air purifier is the #1 best thing to do, and especially if you have children. If there's lead out there, lead is not acceptable to any children. And if you must go outside, wear a snug respirator. So, I am going to be wearing the N95 more often than I really like to, but I will do it. So, there are different ways to check the air quality. So, these are the same color code to the chart. So, there's purpleair.com. They update every 10 minutes. You can go to the graph there. There's also airnow.gov, which is hourly updates. Airnow.gov is the official government website. Okay. And that's where you're going to see a lot of people referring you to.
but be careful because they do now use purple air on some of their maps, so they augment their information. But the only sensor they have is in Sebastopol. Sebastopol data is not appropriate for us because most of our fires and smokes come from the north. Sebastopol's downwind. And especially if you go to airnow.gov and you use their zip code lookup, they're going to give you a number. But that's not the number for here, that's a number for Sebastopol.
We do have 4 sensors, purple air in Windsor. Library, senior center, public works. I can't remember where the 4th one is at. But we do have them here. Sorry, can't remember what the 4th location is.
The other way to do it is Watch Duty. Watch Duty now has all the purple air data on there. And you can click on one, well, if I zoomed in, you could find the Windsor, town Windsor ones. You click on it and it gives you a chart and everything like that. So we don't need to really go to those. I just use Watch Duty now because they have compiled all this data for us. So you can, right here, these little arrows are the wind direction. You can also set an alert for air quality near you. So there's a sensor near my house. I have it set up for an alert at 100. I get a notification if that sensor goes above 100. You can also set it up for wind speeds. It's got a lot of, they've done an excellent job. If you click on there, the same type of graph pops up also. And they are now updating the purple air data every 10 minutes. So how do we protect our family and our pets? Stay inside when we can. If you have to go out, then you wear an N95 mask, but you have to wear it properly. So check the AQI data. Avoid breathing smoke. That's kind of like a duh. If you smell the smoke, it's a problem. Use the N95s. Use air purifiers. You can put into, if you have air conditioning, you can put in special air filters for that. And don't add to the problem. Don't burn candles. You know, things like that. So N95 masks, they have to be worn correctly.
And while Diana's getting the mask out, we are over time. We want to respect your time. We still have about 7 more slides to go. So if you need to leave, please. But she definitely has good information to continue.
Okay. So we do have some masks back there. So these are N95. These are the ones that you want the straps to go above and below. The straps that go around the ear, you don't get a tight fit, okay? You have to have it sealed against your face. If there's air escaping, air can get in, which means contaminated air. They do not recommend masks for any children under 2 years old. If you are children above 2, you can, but they have to be fit properly. They don't have children masks. You have to have a small mask, and if they're not going to fit, it's going to give you a false sense that they're safe, and they're not. The masks have an expiration date. It's 5 years from the date of manufacture, but that's the parts. It's not the actual fabric. It's the straps. It's the sealing around. So you make sure that, you can still use it, make sure that it's sealed properly still. And any facial hair, there's gaps. It's not going to work. If they are dirty, damaged, don't use them again. You do need to put them in a bag because they can just passively collect things on them and they won't be any good. To remind that they do not filter out lead, gases, and things like that. So we have a false sense that we can go out to the store, we can do this and that, and have the mask on, we're safe. We're not safe from some of the constituents that are in the air.
So the N95 masks can be reused. You could see.
They can be reused, yes. have air purifiers, at least one of them. You can make your own this way, but they're not that expensive, depending on what size you want. Pets, very quick. It's going to impact you, it's going to impact your pets in the same type of way. So bring them inside when you can. Halterproject.org is an excellent source for almost anything you're going to want to know about your pets. So, suggestions. Have all this stuff ahead of time. If you were here in 2017, you know supplies are like gone. Gas is gone. Food's gone. I tried in 2017. By the time I was looking for an air purifier and a mask, they were gone. I went visited my family in Central Valley and brought some back. So when you need it, it's going to be too late unless you have it already. Conditions can change very quickly, and make sure you are getting data for near you, not somewhere else. Don't increase the particulates in your home. When you're in your vehicle, run it on recirculate. That means you're not pulling air from inside. And recirculate is this little carb seed. So the air is recirculating. But until the air cleans in your car, because you just open the door, you do need to wear the mask because the air inside is still contaminated. And I can't tell you how long that's going to take. There's different calculations that you'd have to do. Change filters often. And if it's really high concentrations out there, consider just leaving, go visit someone else. If it's hazardous waste levels in the air and you don't have to stay here, why? So this is some things that I have found in my own home. These are pictures. So I do have a handheld meter for particulates. And I have found, first thing that I found when I got it was my bathroom window was leaking. So I got that replaced. And then I found out that my vents were leaking. And not only leaking, I mean, there was like almost a half-inch gap on some of them. They only had like 2 little nails holding them. So I nailed them back down, and there's aluminum tape that I have put around. It keeps the smoke out, but also keeps the cold out too. So that has helped. The other thing is what I do at my house when there's high concentrations. I kind of use my garage as my intermediate area. And just so you know, I worked at contaminated sites. So I have my zone. I have hot zone, middle zone, and clean zone in my head. So I try to keep my house as my clean zone. My intermediate is my garage until I open up my garage door and let in the concentrations. So I go in and out that one door. So I'm not exposing my house directly to the higher concentrations. And I put an air purifier right at the door. So if anything's coming in, at least in theory, it's trapped by that air purifier. So, ash, similar constituents as smoke, bigger particles. They do vary some, but if you want to know how many spider webs you have, wait till a smoke situation. So spider webs catch them, and if you put out a bowl of water, you're going to find out exactly what's in the air. Things fall out. So June, this 24, that was the fire in Hillsburg, and there was ash came through. This was Walbridge, and that was my cat's bowl, what it looked like. So all this gets on plants, your pets, your feet if you're out walking out there. So just make sure that you're not bringing all that stuff into your own house. And when you clean it up, don't use a blower. You're just going to get it airborne again, and you're going to start breathing again. Protect yourself when you're doing take your clothes off afterward, maybe in the garage, because you just got things on you. So just think about the whole process when you're doing it. So this is the Kincaid fire when I got home. Lots of indicators there of what went on while we were gone. But I also want to point out, this is the chart, air chart. So at 300 is hazardous levels. This spiked above 600 while we were evacuating. So there are many reasons to evacuate. And that is it, other than I've given you the link. So these are some selected resources that you can go to. And I want to briefly just talk about COPE. So COPE, we help neighbors connect and prepare together. The situation that is the most profound to me is when there's a strong earthquake, like I talked about. Chances are we're going to be sheltering in place. First responders can't get to us, and it's possible we can't get out. Or we're going to be told to stay because they need to do all their things, and they don't want us in their way. So who in your neighborhood needs extra help? But also, who in your neighborhood can assist? Do you have a nurse if there's a medical issue? So you find these things out ahead of time, and you work together. Another situation is if power goes out, food in your refrigerator is only good for 4 hours. So you have a large block party, right? At least your first day or two, you're going to have feast, right? So there are a lot of different things that you can work together, and we start out by just having a little party, a happy hour or something like that, to get to know each other, exchange contact information. And so I've been the Windsor COPE community leader since 2020 and working with the town, fire, and police since then. This is the website for COPE Northern Sonoma County, our parent company. And why would you even want to do this? It's going to help you. The more you prepare ahead of time, the more you're going to be more comfortable and sure when something happens, because you're going to be ready. Besides, it helps you connect, you're more prepared. You receive information. So back here is Clay, our chair for COPE Northern Sonoma County. We send information to you. So COPE Northern Sonoma County, we have a group meeting. He might send out information, or Chief Tuberville will send out information, and I get that. I send that out to my neighborhood leaders, and then they send it out to the residents. So this program works because we have neighborhood leaders, which are block captains, which oversee about 20 houses, and just helps you guys coordinate and organize. By doing what we need to do, we help the first responders. Chief Tuberville says, when you need me the most, I'm not going to be there, which is true in a disaster. And the other thing is, you don't have to do it by yourself. Like I said, this is overwhelming. Work with your neighbors and get ready together. Any questions?
I'm just, I said to you, we live in Shamrock, and of course we have only one way in, one way out in evacuations. But behind us, and I've been told, we have acres and acres and acres of vineyard. And that's a good buffer, isn't it, for fire? Okay. And of course, we're all underground, I think. The scariest time of year for us is July 4th. July 4th is a very scary time because usually they're set up all around us. And
I hear them at my house.
it's
Yeah.
terrible.
I know.
And is Windsor gonna have fireworks this year? Above ground fireworks?
Yes. We are scheduled at this time.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Thank you for coming, and like I said, I will send you the information for these links, and turn it over to you.
I want to hop into
Oh,
real
okay.
quick before, so there is some information on the back table. I'm giving you 2 pieces of fuel today. If you want to take them at least. It's a great checklist, just kind of go over go bags. Just stuff you can do around, take the garbage cans inside. The 6 Ps, which is people, papers, prescriptions, pictures, personal computer, and plastic, cash, credit card. This is great information to have. You can also get a pen if you want to take a pen, feel free. It's just good information to have and just to kind of when you sit at home and say, oh, that's a good idea. Oh, we can get that. We can get that in our car bag. Who wants a car bag? I think we're going to too up. Oh no, yeah, for your car bag. So grab these, take these. Diana hit really what she said about leaving during the warning. I can't emphasize that enough. It's like, why are you waiting? If your neighboring zone's been, have a warning, if you're under warning and then your neighboring zone got pulled back, I would just leave then too. And then you could find another, you could maybe not get into traffic, you could take your time and find another route out because you're not mandated to evacuate then, but you have a little more time, so you get ahead of it. I can't, and who likes waiting in traffic, especially in gridlock? I don't think anybody. So, if I emphasize anything, that's huge. And then just the whole COPE program, the whole organization of COPE is huge. There's a handful throughout that we work with the fire department. Windsor COPE being one of them, and it's a great community organization. And if anyone wants to be part of it, I'd highly recommend talking to Diana more because it's really like the definition of community. So.
Has it been brought up if the cell system goes down, what happens?
I think they're working on, I mean, if it goes down, it goes down. I know satellite, they're working on satellite type
So if
stuff.
it goes down, then there's no
There's repeaters,
notifications?
there are cell towers and repeaters, if those get succumbed
We can,
to fire, then we're in trouble.
So there are GMRS radios that are like high-tech walkie-talkies that use repeaters. We have a pilot program in here in Windsor. The problem is reception in Windsor is really bad right now. So we are in the process of getting a repeater up on a Windsor facility. And once we get our pilot program working, we're going to send it out for everyone else to get trained on GMRS radios. So that will be like a backup when communications go down.
And that is intended to neighbor,
Yes.
not necessarily coming into our emergency operations center and getting up-to-date information. It's neighbor to neighbor. But it's another resource to communicate as the event is happening if you're in need of service. But we'll have radio, we'll have television, and other resources to be able to push information out to you if cellular service is down, which did happen during the house. Yes.
Okay, I have a question. I'm in Santa Rosa doing errands. A fire breaks out. You gave the example that we would not be able to get back into Windsor because it's being evacuated. My pet is at home in his crate sleeping. I'm not going to be able to go back in and get my pet?
We'll try to get it for you.
but before we have to rely on them, we want to be as sufficient as we can. So that's where you're working with your neighbors. COPE does have, it's called a buddy program. We have a little postcard where you choose maybe 3 neighbors. You guys exchange information. They know where your pet is. They know where your key is or things, whatever you decide. So in that situation,
And they're going to be responsible for taking him and evacuating?
yes, that's the idea.
And
Otherwise, you're going to have to wait till a fire or, a cart comes in.
Is it illegal for us to go back in and disobey your
If you get
orders?
told, if there is law enforcement telling you not to, yeah.
yes.
But, I mean, a situation, it would have to evolve very quickly for them to already be telling you can't go back. I mean, we're talking like National Guard being deployed and stuff, like,
We had
yeah. So, I mean, I would never recommend driving, I mean, I guess to save your pet, is a different story.
So the hope is that if you can make a plan in advance to where you have a neighbor that knows about your animals, that you have a good relationship, and you have a plan to say, if I have to evacuate, I'm heading to Sacramento to my Aunt Bee's house. So So your neighbor knows that. Also, we have a mobile home park here in Windsor that they came up with little cards that they stick in the window that shows what type of animal it is,
I have
their
that.
name.
I have that already.
Yeah, perfect. So that if first responders are coming to the home, they know, okay, there's an animal in
But how soon would they come to my home?
It
I mean,
completely
it can't be more than 6 hours in a spray.
Yeah, so so then with that, knowing a buddy system is probably your best bet in recognizing that you can't get back in for whatever reason. It could even be an earthquake at that point too, that the roadways are blocked or what have you. Yes, ma'am.
Question, I didn't know that the Pine Town, right across the street is Bicentennial Park, lots of trees, and lots of dry stuff all over the ground. Who's?
Santa Rosa Fire Department.
Okay. I don't know, we're all trying to do our part.
Yes,
and
so
part
Santa
of it is-
Rosa Fire Department, let them know your concerns, because that's outside of our jurisdiction as in the city of Santa Rosa. But just call them, tell them your concerns, but I think it's overgrown here in the park, they have like 4 of us, they have like 12 of us there in the city, so they have a lot of staff, and they'll get out there within a week to take a look for you.
Yes, I know also over 4th of July, people are always across the street, at that
Yeah.
time with fireworks.
Yeah.
We
Scary.
just yesterday, we caught some people in Bluebird lighting fireworks off here in Windsor. So,
Yes, ma'am.
I was gonna say on iPhones, there's a satellite option, send messages if like cellular service goes down, where you like point it in the direction of like the satellite,
Okay.
and it'll catch the signal, when it lines up, and allow you to send a message that way.
Okay, I will have to test that,
But,
because
yes, please
service
do.
here in Windsor is not good.
Yeah.
So the satellite, don't know where it's at, but good
yeah, please
option
test
to
it.
try.
oh yeah, no, the satellite's becoming way more and more of a thing with Starlink and everything. Watch duty. Who uses the cameras on watch duty? This is when they were talking about that. There's cameras, so that you gotta make it, this is a prescribed burn going on, it's kind of smoking off right now, right at the pepper. You can monitor like prescribed burns and such, or if you see smoke, oh, is there a prescribed burn over there? You can even, you do Caltrain with cameras. If you're driving to Tahoe, you wanna see if there's traffic in Auburn, if their camera's working, you could get on the Caltrain's camera and see if there's desktop traffic going up 80. You could utilize this big time, and I mean, this is my number one, this is what I tell everyone to use, along with Nixle and all, and SoCo, but this one, you can combine all of it, you can put your zone in there, this is like such a good tool.
Is that an app?
Yes, it's a free app, and you can pay for a premium version, but everything you need is free, it's called Watch Duty.
Go to watchduty.org, you
Yeah.
can download it.
For those of you that have not participated in one of our Windsor Ready presentations this year, I have lanterns that are solar rechargeable to give you for free
Oh,
for participating today. So
Oh,
as